Okay, so I think you are good to go. Alright, so it's Power Query. It's basically you being able to bring in multiple data together in a single Excel file, or you can also bring data to Power Query and use the transformations in Power Query to quickly work on the data, especially when it comes to date columns. We tend to have a lot of issues, like the dates we were using in the pivot table yesterday. Some dates were not properly formatted, so when we were doing the analysis with pivot table, we realized that some dates were popping up at where they are not supposed to be. But with Power Query, all those issues will be resolved, so you can find a way to easily transform dates columns, and also we can clean other columns easily with Power Query. But then it has a lot of functionalities, a lot of features, so I want us to explore that and see how we can leverage on Power Query when it comes to using Excel for analysis. And even if you are not using Excel for analysis, probably you want to use Power BI for your analysis, you can still leverage on Power Query in Excel to do some basic cleaning on your data before you shift it or move it to Power BI. And also Power BI has Power Query as well. You know, it's a Microsoft product, so that same Power Query is in Power BI, and you will explore that when you also get to work with Power BI. But so for now, I want us to open this sheet. I basically created a new sheet here. This is an empty sheet. Now I named it process data. Okay, so let me bring that. I named this sheet process data, but then you realize that I already have my data in a folder called data. Okay, to make it look different, let me rename it to data set so that I don't keep saying data. Alright, so I have all my data in this data set folder, right? And all these are sales data. We have sales from 2017, 18, 19 and 2020. So with Power Query, even though these are separate sheets, with Power Query I can bring all of them, combine all of them together as a single Excel file with Power Query. So let me bring up the sheets. If you check, okay, Junior, go ahead. Come again. You don't have the data set. Let me check. Yeah, it should be in the Google Drive. It should be in the Google Drive. Let me bring it up and see. Okay, let me check for it here. Yeah. So you have all the data here. Check the Google Drive. All of them are here. So this is the weekend data analytics folder, and you have the data here. You have 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2017 as well. So I think you have all of them in here. So kindly visit the link. Let me share with you, if in case you've lost access. let me share with you. So copy link, I'll just share it in the chats. So if you don't have access, kindly check for it in the chats. Alright, so now can I move on? Eugene, are you okay?
Yes, I'm
Okay, sure. Alright. So now I've opened the process data sheet, right? What I need to do is to bring in the data that I have in the data sets folder. Okay, so here we have all the data that you want to transform with Power Query. We have a total of 4 Excel sheets, and the size of the 4 is 8.8 megabytes. And this 8.8 megabyte, I think you'll be having around over, you should be having around over 70,000 rows of data. So let's see if we can process all of them. So here, to use Power Query, if you check Excel, you have all these tabs here, right? You have all these tabs, but you have to go to the data tab. Okay, you go to the data tab, then in the data tab it also gives you a lot of options. We have get data, we have this from text CSV. These are just like shortcuts for you. These are parts of the get data, sorry, the data sources you'll be getting our data from. Let me check here for you. If I click this arrow down, these are the various data sources we can pick our data from. You can pick it from Excel workbook, from text or CSV file, from XML, from JSON, from even a PDF, and also from a folder. And you can also bring it from a SharePoint folder. Okay, if you want to bring it from maybe cloud sources, you can bring it from things like Azure SQL database. From all these are cloud sources. You can also bring it from Power BI. Okay, then we have other options, even Salesforce. And if you go to I think, let me check data source. I think Excel doesn't have more options, but Power BI has a lot of options. Okay, so but basically we have what we want to use in these options. What you want to bring is either it's text or Excel workbook. So to know that, we have to check the extensions of our Excel sheet. Here, let's check the extensions. We have this sales 2018, 2019, and the rest. But if you check the extension, check the type here, where they've written type. Okay, date modified, we have the type, then the size. The type here is showing Microsoft Excel comma separated value file. This is also the same, and all of them are the same. So they are comma separated files, which is in short CSV, comma separated files. Okay, so here, if you go to Power Query, let me bring Power Query up. If you go to Power Query and you want to get your source and you click on Excel workbook, let's click there and see what happens. Let's go to the desktop. Okay, so I'll bring it from here. Okay, so alright, so this is my folder, the Power Query folder here. So I'll go into the Power Query, then the data set. You see that I'm in the data set, but there's no data in there. Why? Because I said I want to pick Excel workbook, but Excel is telling me that all the data in there, they are not Excel workbooks, so it couldn't find them. When you check, the extensions were comma separated files, CSVs. So in this case it won't work, so you have to cancel it, then go and pick it again. You can go now in for text or CSV. Okay, text or CSV, but you having to come here and go down here, you can just simply pick it from here. You have that option here. This is more or less like a shortcut for you, so you can click from text/CSV and it takes us to the data part that right away, because you've already gone there. So now it knows where we are picking the data from. So here, this is our data. So we want to pick the 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2017. Okay, sure, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, so you can change from Excel to all files like this. Okay, so it will pop up there, but ideally they are CSVs, so you can decide to use that option, or you can just decide that I want to pick text or CSV files. So here I'm just trying to let you know the various options you have, right? So that is fine. Okay, that is fine. All right, sure. So now you know, here, because I said I want to pick a file, it's not allowing me to pick multiple files. I can't click or select multiple files. Okay, I'm only able to pick one, but there's a way to also pick all the files in a particular folder, but I didn't use that option here. I just went here, let me cancel and do it again. I just want here get data and what, text/CSV. So in this way I'm telling Excel that I want just a single CSV file. Okay, so I can't pick two or more than one. So now let's pick the sales 2017. Okay, so I'll import, select it, then go to import. Okay, when you go to import, then let's see, it's processing, and in that it brings this dialog box here. So here we have certain things we are seeing. It gives us the file origin here, the delimiter, how the data is delimited. Here they are separated by commas, and also we also have the data type detection. Is able to detect the data type in your Excel or CSV file, or the type of file that you are importing. And under the dialog box, you have the load, transform data. You have load, transform data and cancel. But what I want us to do is to pick the transform data now. Okay, so go to transform data. Boy, is too much. No. All right, so now when you go to transform data, as I want you funny pay no so bad. Oh, sorry, my small boy is just disturbing me here. All right, so when you go to transform data, it automatically bring you inside the Power Query view. This is the Power Query. Okay, this is Power Query in Excel. But then you have a lot of things that you need to learn in Power Query. The first part is these queries. Okay, when you check the where my mouse cursor is. We have the sales 2017 data there, and above it we have queries, and it keeps one in square brackets, so that it tells you that you brought in one data, but that data that you brought in is calling it as a query. Okay, it calls that one as a query for you. All right, then at the right side, okay, this is the left side, you have the queries. At the right side you have the query settings. Okay, we have the query settings at the right side, which is, you have first the properties, you also have the apply steps. The properties here, it's giving you the name, and here you have all properties. When you click on all properties, it gives you this dialog box where you can rename the data. Okay, you can rename the data that you've brought in. You can even give it a description, but it's not necessary. So here I can decide to rename it. Here I can say, okay, sales, maybe 2017 sales. Okay, then I'll press enter. Realize that if you check the right side at the query section, it renames it over here. You can still also double click, or sorry, right click and rename it here as well. So let me rename it back to let's say sales 2017. Okay, so and when you check the properties, it also reflects at the properties side, right? So you can do it wherever you want, either here or at the properties. You can rename the data you've brought in. And when you check the applied steps, you also have some steps that Excel did, or let me say Power Query did, on the data you brought in. Those steps are basically transformations. First of all, you have the source. When you click on the source, this is the source. When you click on promoted headers, kindly focus on the data. Okay, when you click from the source, you see that we have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. But when you click on promoted headers, you realize that the columns are no more, they are gone. So it tells you that it used the first rows as headers. So that's why it's saying promoted headers. It has used the first rows as headers for your data. Then the next step is changed type. You see that here all the headers, you see there's this ABC symbol here. That ABC symbol tells you that the data type of that particular column is text. Data type is text. But then when you click on the change type, now let's go and check. If you check the order ID, it's now 123. If you check the order date, it's now putting some table sign there, right? And order date too, you also have the table sign. Then when you check the revenue, you have 1.2, which is telling you that the content of the revenue it has decimals, because 33.56, those ones are decimals. The stock also the same. The price, but the price, it couldn't detect that. You get there. There's a reason why it couldn't detect the price. So you get there. Then when you check the delivery dates, it also has the dates icon there, which tells you that it has transformed that column to the proper format, which is dates. Initially it was just a text, right? Then when you check this one, it also put that date icon there, but there's this red color there, and some shaded portion. It tells you that there's a problem with that particular column. Something is going on. Some entries are not right, properly formatted. So you have to look at how to also fix this issue. So now I want to delete these steps. Okay, look at how I'm deleting the steps. You can basically click on this icon here. When you click, it turns red. Okay, or when you hover, it turns red. Then now you can click to remove it. So it's gone. Now you only have the source. you see that on the source tool we have this settings icon. So when you click on the settings icon, it basically gives you the paths where the data came from. So now it's showing you the paths, my drive C, my users, there's a folder with my name, then there's OneDrive, this etc whatever. Then you have the actual, when you click, it takes you to where the data came in from. So that is the path. So the source is actually what? The path of the data. Okay, so now let me cancel that and close this one. All right, so now I want us to now do our own transformations on this particular data. You realize that you've already cleaned this 2017 data. Okay, you've already cleaned it, but when I'm done, I'll bring in the raw one. Then you also look at how you can clean it in Power Query. So here, with the transformation, I want to now remove this column 1, column 2, column 3. So what I can do is to go here where my mouse pointer is. There's use first row as headers. Use first row as headers. So click on use first row as headers. Then when you click, check the apply steps section. It's now giving you two transformations. It's saying promoted headers and also change the type for you. It tried to detect the type of the various columns. Now it's able to get you the type of the order ID, which is correct. The product ID, which is text, so it's correct. The store ID is also correct. The order date is correct. Order 2 is also correct. Then this one too is correct because it contains numbers and text. So ideally, there should be text. But you come back to this guy, you have to do some transformation on this guy. So let's move on. The revenue is correct. The stock is correct. The price is not correct. The price is not correct because there's a particular issue. Let me now look at the issue. So when you filter, okay, when you press on the filter there, go down to the data, you see there's NA here. So let's filter out the NA and press OK. Okay, so now you've filtered out the NAs. Now we can now change. Click on this ABC icon here. When you just click, okay, when you click, you can now change it to the right format, which is what? A number. You can change it to a number. You can probably even change it to a currency. Okay, but this is not the only way to change it. This, you can click here to change. That is not the only way. You can also click here. Okay, you click here, then go to transformation. Then let me check where is that. All right, so I'm trying to, I think there are 3 different ways of doing that. Let me go to home. Okay, so I think it's just 2. So here, the other way is to right click. Okay, when you right click, there's change type here. There's change type here. This change type, that's what you can use. So you can either change it to a currency, whole number, date. It depends on the type of your data, the data type of your column. Okay, so if you have dates, you can pick a date. If you have text, you can pick text here, as it has already selected. But you don't want to change this one. You want to change the price. So I have to rather click on the price. Then this NAs. You see these NAs, they are a lot. You can't say that you want to remove all these NAs, but before you change the type, let's see how you can deal with the NAs. So here, what I want to do is to replace the NAs with zeros. Okay, so I'll go to replace values and I'll type the value to replace. So I'll type NA. Okay, then I'll type 0 there, then I'll press OK. Okay, so now I can now remove this filter. I can delete it because now the price is in a good shape. So when I check, it has already corrected that you don't have the earnings there again. So I'll just cancel. All right. So now you've dealt with the earnings there. So now I can safely change the type, the data type of the price. So I can either right click, go to the change type, then select the type. So now this time around I'll just pick currency. So I'll go to currency. Okay. So now we have our price change to currency. But then we can also click back and change it to maybe a number if you selected the wrong let's say type. So I can now change it, but this time around it's asking me, how do I handle this? Should I replace the current one or add a new step? Now I don't want to replace the current one, so I'll just add what? Add a new, sorry, I want to replace it. I want to replace it. I didn't want to add a new step. So now it has replaced the currency step with the whole number step that I selected. So you have our price change to whole numbers. Then when you come to this dates, this is one of the issues this data is having. So let's see how you can handle it. Let me filter more, and it's saying that date format dot error. You couldn't pass the input provided as date value. So here, depending on how the data is structured, we have every country and how they write their dates. Some start with the month, the day, and the year. Some also start with the year, the month, and the day. Some even go with the day, the month, and the year. So those are some of the issues that can prevent you from getting the right date format. Even in Excel, when you use maybe format as short date, you realize that sometimes it doesn't format the date properly. Those are some of the reasons. So here, the way to handle this is to use something called local. So I'll click on the dates, then I'll go to using what? Local here. So I'll click on the local, and it brings me some options here. So the options it gives me is, we have the data type, okay, and also have the local. Here the local is English United States. But then let's first of all change the data type. Here it's a date, so I'll pick date, right? And if you check English United States, it's giving you a sample input values. The sample input values, it's saying that, okay, so you have the day coming first, the month, and the year. And also sorry, you have the month rather coming first. So the month comes, the day, and the year. All right, so that is it. That is this one. That's when you selected, or when you select English United States. Let's select a different local. So here, let's say maybe South Africa. South Africa, look at the local. The year comes first, the month comes, and the day follows. Let's check. Let's say Switzerland. Let's check. So Switzerland is more or less like the English United States. So here, let's pick English United Kingdom and see how the local is. English United Kingdom. For United Kingdom, the day comes, the month, and the year. Okay, so let's press OK and see how this will respond. Let's press OK. Realize that this doesn't fix our issue. Let's try again. But before I do that, check this settings icon. I don't want us to go back and select this thing again using local. There's a shortcut for doing that. You can just click on this settings icon here. Okay, when you click, it brings you the previous view that you had. So here, instead of going back to change, select date again, it's already selected for you. So now let's change to, let's say, English world. You have English world. Let's see how it also handle that. Press OK. That doesn't also fix our problem. Let's try another one. So I'll click on the settings icon again. Let's pick, let's say, English Ghana and see if it's possible. Do you have English Ghana? English Ghana. Alright, so I think there's Ghana here, so I'll pick that. This one also doesn't fix our problem. So what is happening? Let me remove this step. Okay, so I'll remove this step and I'll switch back. I will go to the promoted headers. So sometimes when you are changing it, you have issues. So if you realize that your date has a problem, go to where it's used to be a text. Okay, the step that your date was recognized as a text, and change using the local from that step. So you've moved from step, see here you have how many steps? You have step 5. You've moved from 5, 4, 3 to 2. Okay, to 2. So now let's click on this, the ABC icon. Let's click on that. Then now let's go using what? Local. So I will insert a new step after the promoted headers. So it opens. It's a bit slow, but it's opening. Okay, so now it opens here. I'll now select my dates, and now I can pick English United Kingdom and it will work for me. So I'll pick that one. You have the day, the month, and the year. So I'll press OK, and realize that we have our data part, or the date part. We have it in good shape. Now that error is no more. So these are some of the things you have to take notice of. So now I'll go to the change type and realize that the rest are also in good shape. Okay, the rest are also in good shape. So this step, I can now remove this step. I don't need it anymore. Okay, so I think that is fine. That is fine. So I think we can now look at other things here. What again? All right, so that is fine here, and I want us to bring in another data. Okay, I want to bring in another data. So now I'm in Power Query already. I don't want to exit, but if you want to exit, all you have to do is to what? Close and load. You have to close and load. Sometimes you can decide to close and load to I want to see that option, but let's close and load first. So close and load, and now it's loading. When it loads, it has to now put that data in the process data sheet that we created. So now all the data we have is from the 2017 sales data. Meanwhile, we didn't copy and paste that data here. We just created a new sheet. Then use Power Query to grab that data from that particular sheet. Okay, so now you have that one here. I want us to bring in the other years as well. So whilst I'm in the same process data sheet, I'll go to get data again, and now I don't want to pick a file. I don't want to pick the file again. I'll now just go to launch Power Query editor. Okay, so launch Power Query editor. That is over here. We have whatever you've done in our Power Query here, but you realize that in this view, is there a way to bring in a new data? Let's see. Let's explore all the options. Alright, so it appears that we can't bring in a new data here. So what you have to do is to close and load, and now I'll go and get the data again. Okay, so I'll go to text CSV, but the annoying part is now you have to bring in one by one, right? But you also learn a way of bringing in the whole folder. So now I have 2017, I want to bring in 2018 now, so I'll import, and we are in this window, so I'll now just click on transform data here. So okay, so I'll rename this, so let's say sales 2018. Alright, so let's check the IDs. Okay, so this is the order ID, also order ID. Alright, that's fine. So here, let's check. Realize that Power Query has already done some of the transformations for us. From the source, it's promoted the headers, it's changed the types. But then let's examine the data. Is it okay? You see, we have the same issue with the first data. Okay, we have the same issue here. Hey, yeah, the same issue we had with the first data in 2018 as well. So now I have to go back to the promoted headers, then change this using what? The local. I'll insert a step, and it's bringing it up. Alright, so I'll have to select my dates, then I'll use this time I'll use English World. I'll use English World, and that should also work. Okay, so now our data is also in good shape. I'll go to the final step. Alright, so that is fine. So here, let's see, let's check the price. You see, the price is still in text. It couldn't convert to a number, or let's say currency. So now it tells you that there's a problem. Mostly it probably has some text in there. You see there's any here, right? There's any here. So now let's filter out the NAs and replace them with zeros. Okay, so filter out NAs, and now let's right click and go to replace values. Okay, so but ideally we can just leave the filter. So far as you know that there are NAs in there, we can just right click right away and go to replace what? Values. So I'll go to NA, I'll type just NA, that is the value to find. I'm telling Power Query to find the NAs and replace them with what? Zeros. So I'll press OK, and it gives you that steps, replace what? Value. So now when you filter, you shouldn't see that NA anymore. So now you don't have NA. I'll press OK, then now I'll change this to, let's say, just a number, right? So that is fine. Okay, so I think we are also good to go for this particular data. So let's bring in the 2019, but then I have to close and load. So I'll close and load, go to data, get data from text CSV. I'll bring in 2019, import, so processing, go to transform data, and alright, so let me rename to sales 2019. Okay, so let's check what are some of the issues. Oh, we still have this particular issue. Anyway, it's a learning process for us. So I'll go back to the promoted headers, change using local, insert. This time around I'll use English Ghana to see if it will work. So now let's select our dates, go to English Ghana here. Alright, where is it? Okay, so okay, alright, so that also works for us. I'll go to my final step, then let's check the price again. Okay, so this time around the price is in good shape, right? The price is in good shape, so it was able to transform that. So I think we are also good with this. Now let's close and load and bring in the last data set. Alright, so it's processing. Alright, so now let's go to data again, get data from text CSV 2020 raw. So import, and this is seriously messy. This one is in a very bad state. Okay, but let's transform it. It's kind of a lot of work for us to do, so let's all focus on this. Before that, let me rename to 2020 sales. Oh, sorry, sales 2020. I just want to be consistent. All right, so now we have a lot of issues. So let's go to the source, change type. Even the type, there's an issue. So here, let's see what we can filter out. So here I want to filter out all the empty rows. Okay, so I'll filter out all the empty rows. All right, so I'll remove the blanks. Okay, I'll unselect the blanks and the what and the NAs, then press OK. All right, so we have the data in this shape, but let's go to the source. You see, before that, see how the data looks like, but with just one transformation the data is looking good. Okay, with just one transformation. Let's check the product IDs as well. If we have some NAs in here, we still have some NAs and blanks, so I'll unfilter them and press OK. All right, but then before I do that, let's check that column. Those that have NAs, are they cutting across the other columns? If so, then you can unfilter them. But if it's just that particular one and it's not affecting other columns, then you know that you also lose data in other columns. So you have to be careful the type of filtering you do or the type of data you delete from our data. So here I think it's just cutting across. All the NAs are cutting across, the empties or the blanks are also cutting across. Okay, so I think it's good. All right, so but this column 3, I'll probably don't need this column 3 here, so I'll delete it. So I'll right click and use remove. Okay, so I'll just remove that column. So that is done. And let's check these dates. Let's rename this. Okay, I think the dates you do the dates later, but let's check the other columns. You see that if you check 2019, you have order ID, 2018 order ID, 2017 order ID, but this particular one has order ID and unique attached to the name, but you can't change that here. Okay, you realize that I can't even click. When I click, it doesn't allow me to do any changes there. So what I need to do is to promote these first rows you see here. Okay, these first rows, I need to promote them as headers. So I use first row as what? Headers. Just click and you have our first rows as headers. Now I can rename this one, take the unique out, so that all my column names are consistent across the various years. Let's check the price. Let's check the price and the other column. This issue still persists in 2020, so we have to deal with that. And let's check the price. The price is also having issue, so let's filter out or replace the NAs. You still have NAs in here, so now let's right click and replace values. So replace what? NAs with 0 again. So now I think we can now transform this to, let's say, a whole number. Okay, so that is it. So we have our price, and this particular one I can't change it here, so I'll go back to where you promoted the headers, okay, to have it as a text. So now I'll go to using local and I'll insert a step. Okay, so Alright, so I'll pick my dates type, then I'll go for, this time around, let me stick with English United States and see what happens. So I'll press OK. You see, it doesn't work. So now let's pick a different locale. So here, let's pick English World again. So English World is here. Press OK, and wow, it's not working here. Let me check. So you have, this time around, you have the months, the day, and the year. So let's check the locale we are using. So if you check this, alright, so this is the month, the day, and the year. So why didn't it work? Let's go for Ghana and see. Wow, so it's not working. Let me remove it and do it again. So I'll click on this whole number. Oh, sorry, I want to use the locale. Okay, so I'll insert a step. This thing is slow. So I'll pick my dates, and let me pick English United Kingdom and see if it works. English United Kingdom. Where am I? Okay. Press OK. Alright, so now English United Kingdom works for us here, but I don't know why the world didn't work. Let me delete that and try it again. I think the world should have worked. So I'll delete this step. Delete. So I'll try it again here. Now after the promoted address, so I'll use locale, insert, then pick a date, go to English World and press OK. Yeah, so it works. Sometimes it's just a bit of patience. Alright, so I think we can now go to the other steps. So I think we've already worked on the price as well, so I think we are good to go. Okay, we are good to go. But then I want us to do some cleaning in this particular, the column names. Okay, so if you check 2017, we have the order dates. We don't need the order dates too, so I'll remove that. Okay, so I'll remove the order dates too. This promo type, I'll just maintain the promo type 1, so I'll rename it just to promo type. Then this promo bin, I'll delete it, I'll remove that. Then the type 2, I'll remove that as well. This is just for learning purpose. When you have your own data, you have to be careful with the columns you need and the columns you don't need. Yeah. And this delivery date, I'll remove the format 1 and just keep delivery date, and I'll remove the 2. Okay, so I'll remove the 2. Alright, so you have this columns. I think we are good with this, so I'll do same to this 2018. So now there's also a way to select multiple columns and delete. So now I've highlighted order date 2. Okay, so I want to press Control, okay, the control is very important. So press control. I'll remove this bin. Okay, then this promo type 2, I don't need it. Promo bin 2, I don't need it. Promo discounts, whatever, I don't need it. Then delivery date format 2, so I'll delete all this. So I'll go to remove columns. So all of them are gone. I just have to rename this to delivery dates. Okay, then promo type 1, I'll just do promo type. Okay, then but again, I think we are good with this one as well. And 2019, I'll do same. So I'll delete this order date 2. Let me select all the columns. Promo type bin, promo bin type 2, bin 2, all of them, I'll just delete them. Then discount is going, format 2 is also going. Remove columns. Let's rename this to delivery dates. Then promo type. Okay, so I think we are also good here. And the last one, which is, we have this order date 2, we have, okay, there's another transformation you have to do here, but let's finish this. So order date 2, we have this promo type 1, we maintain. We have this bin type 2, bin 2, discounts, delivery date 2. So I remove columns and they are all gone. And then I have to rename this to delivery dates and promo type. Okay, so maintain that. And what again, I think we are good here as well. Now what I want us to do is to split this sales column. Okay, this sales column, this is ideally quantity sold. Okay, but they've done it 5 sales, 1 sales, 2 sales, 3 sales, those things. So here I'll rename this to QTY sold. Okay, let me have a small letter, QTY underscore sold. Okay, so here I'll do it this way. Then I want to split these columns. So, sorry, this column, the quantity sold column, I want to split it into 2 and delete what I don't need. I just want the quantity of items that have been sold. So here I'll highlight it. Okay, I highlight the column, then go to transform, click on the transform tab. You have split column. Okay, you have split column, so click on this arrow down here. Then you have by delimiter. So go to by delimiter. It automatically select the delimiter we have. See that the 0 and the sales is separated by space. So automatically detect that our delimiter is space. If our delimiter is something else, maybe a comma or equal sign or a semicolon, then it also detect that. Or sometimes you have to put our delimiter there, or you can even specify a custom delimiter. Like when we were using splits to columns in Excel, we use this double bar, but in Excel it didn't even allow us to type the double, but Power Query allows you to type that. So you can specify this double bar, then split the columns into 2. But now you don't need it, you already have space. So our delimiter is space. Forget about this option down here. But then we want to also do the split based on each occurrence of the delimiter. So I'll just press OK. And now we have the column splitted. So you have quantity 1 sold and quantity 2 sold. But you don't need this, the 2 sold. So I'll just remove that. Then I'll rename this one to quantity sold. Okay, clear the 1 and the dots. Alright, so I think this is fine. Then you have to also do same for 2018. So for 2018, okay, so I think for 2018, for some reason you've already splitted that, but then let me rename it QTY underscore sold. Okay, so that is fine. Then let me check 2019. 2019 is also looking good, but let's have a consistent column names across all the sheets. So QTY sold. Okay, then 2020. Oh, so you have to split this one as well. So now select it, split by delimiter. Okay, is space already selected, press OK, and it's splitted. I'll delete this part, and now I rename this one to QTY underscore sold. Alright, so now I think we are pretty much done with all the transformations we need to do on this data set we've brought in so far. Okay, so now I'll go home, then close and load, and let's see what happens. So that it's loading here, we have 2019, 2020, 2018, 2017. So it only gives us the columns that we specified, even though if you open the original sheets, okay, if you open the original sheet that you took the data from, you see all the columns, none of them is deleted. Let's open 2017 and see. So if you check 2017, all the format 2, format 1, and all those nonsense, they are still here. Okay, none of them is deleted. So with Power Query, let me bring it. Alright, so with Power Query, we're able to select the columns that we want to use for our analysis. Okay, so you've selected whatever you want from the various sales data. Okay, so now what I want to do is to combine all of them as a single sheet. Instead of having 2020, 2019, 2017 and whatever. I want to combine all of them as a single sheet. But here you're seeing some errors here. Let me check. Okay, so errors in 2019. Let me check what ones are giving the errors. Oh, so the price. I think there's a problem with the price in 2019. So let's go to 2019 and fix the price. So you probably didn't fix that. So let's check the issue with that. Oh, okay. So here the price here is formatted in decimals, but the other ones are formatted in a different data type. So let's convert this one to decimals as well. Let's convert this one 2017 to decimal. So the price, oh, this one is even in text. That is bad. Let's check. So this one, let's convert this one to decimal as well. Then 2018 I think is good. 2019 that is in decimals. 2020 let's convert that one to decimal too. Okay, so alright, so I think let me refresh this and see. So I'll just close and load and see what happens, if those errors will go away. Alright, so they are still there, but let me go to the Power Query. I will just delete those errors. So launch Power Query editor. So now it has come in as a query, but I'll delete it and refresh the data again. I'll close and load it again. So I'll close and load. So let me do a refresh here. Wow. Okay, so other than index kept errors. So here, that's where it's kept the errors. I think this particular one, data type mismatch. Okay, so let me delete these steps. So in 2019, so I think let's go to 2019 and look at our steps again. So I'm at the source now. Okay, I'm at the source. So I want to check the price. Let me check if we have some NAs in there. Load more. Okay, so I'll just let me promote the first rows as headers first, and now let me change the NAs. I think there's an NA in there, but I don't know why I still formatted this as a decimal. Let me search. That is weird. So here, let me go to the promoted headers and filter the NAs. Load more. Alright, so I'll just filter out. So let me just replace NAs with values. So I'll type in NA here. I'll put 0 here. Okay, so press OK. Then now let me go to the type and this one you don't really need it because it's already fixed in the over here. So let's just get the format we want, like how we did earlier. So I'll remove this part as well. This promo type, I'll remove it. Then this bin too, I'll remove. Then here promo type, because you've already done these things, I don't want to repeat them again. So other dates, let me remove this as well. Other date too. Alright, so let's check. I think the other ID is fine. The other dates, the stock, the price. Alright, so I'll now delete this errors. And now I'll close and load again and see what happens. Alright, so now you realize that you don't have those errors there again. So it tells you that the transformation are very, very necessary. You have to really pay attention to your data and the columns. Pay attention to all the potential issues, okay, before you actually put your data together. So as I said earlier, let's now launch Power Query again and merge all the sales data together. So here I have 4 different queries, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So what I can do is to go to, you have up here, you have merge queries where my mouse pointer is. Merge queries. You have append queries. If you want to merge, merge is like you want to use a particular column in 2 tables. If they are matching, then it's like merge them wherever they are matching. Wherever it's not matching, it will not add it to the data. But that's not what you want. But merging will put the data in a horizontal format, okay? But when you append, it's like they sit on top of each other. The append, if the first data set is like 20 rows, now I want to append another 20, the next 20 will go down, or they will be added together, okay? So that is when you append, you are adding more rows, but when you merge, you are adding more columns, okay? So understand it that way. So now let me use the append here. So you have append queries. So I want to append as new, append queries as new. Okay, so I'll click and I'll say 3 or more tables. Okay, so 2017 is already here. If you want to append 2, you can just select the second table here, but now we have more than 2. So 2017 is already here. I'll add 20. You see, you select and you click on this add. So 2018 is there, 2019 is also there. Let's now add the last one, 2020. You can also remove it here. Okay, you can click and remove it here. Okay, you can click and remove, click and remove. Okay, so now let me add it again, 2019, 2020. Then I'll press OK. Alright, so now we have our another query here, which is called append 1. I'll rename it to say 2017 to 2020, or let me say sales 2017 to 2020. Okay, so now when I run or I close and load, you should have all of them combined. So now you see that it's processing all of them. So here you have 106,268 rows loaded. That is a lot of data. So here what I want to do is I want to delete these ones. Okay, I want to delete the 2017, 2018, this sheet 1 and 2020. I want to delete those sheets. I want to just maintain this. Let me go to Power Query again. But this time around, I'll launch Power Query, and I don't want to load these ones. So I'll click and select all of them. Then I'll right click. Oh, I don't know. Let me. Okay. Load. Right, that option is probably not here. I don't want to load this one. I don't want it to appear in the Excel sheets, but it seems that option is not here in Excel. Okay, I think since it's not here, we can just maintain it that way. So I'll just close and load. But when I close and load, all of them will come back. Oh, okay. I think it worked. By just deleting it, it just saying connection only. It didn't load the data. I think that is fine. So, but let me click on this and see. You cannot refresh a connection only. Okay. Alright. But Excel is sometimes weird, like working with some of these things. Okay, so sales. Oh. Should have, you see this one, it should have quantity sold. But this sales, I think you have the quantity sold here. So where is this sales coming from? So let me go back to Power Query. Go back to Power Query here, launch Power Query editor, and let's see, where is it coming from? That should not be there, and it's even now. So let me check, where is it coming from? Sales 2018. So it should be quantity sold, QTY sold. Okay, so that should fix the problem. So let's cross check the other columns. QTY sold 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so now let me refresh here and see if it fixes that. Alright, so I think that QTY, that sales column is no more. So I'll close and load. Close and load. And this column should be off. Let me refresh again. Alright, so that column is off. Okay, so now this is all the data combined. So now you can sort maybe smallest to largest, so from 1 to 106. so the largest. Excel cannot even display all. So I think I will stop here. If you have questions or anything boggling your mind, kindly let me know and let's see how we can help you out. Alright, so I'm done. Any questions? Hello. Sir, do you have question? Oh, you are okay. Hello. Okay, sure. Eugenia and Kiki and Walali, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay, sure. But at least, do you get some of the concepts that I was talking about?
Yes. I was looking at
Okay, sure. All right, and okay. So Kiki and Eugenia, do you have questions? Eugenia, are you with us? Are you lost or you are with us? So did you understand what you did? Okay, sure. But then I think you have to work on these things alone when you are done. So maybe from tomorrow going, you can just try your hands on whatever you did and see if you're able to do all the things we've gone through. If you don't have if you are struggling with some concepts, you can always contact me, then I can get some time and take you through or explain things to you. Sure. I'll try and upload this evening. Yeah. So Kiki, we are yet to hear from you. Or you are not with us at the moment? All right. So I think we have to end it here and see if we can catch up on some of the previous concepts that we are having issues with. So here I'll save my process data sheet. So I'll save and close it and close this guy. Let me check. So this one maybe it's just here. So I'll go back to my Power Query if you check the process data here, it tells you the size of that sheet is 5.287 megabytes. Okay, anyway, I think it makes sense because we remove some columns and other things, right? So it makes sense. Remove some columns, and in data analytics sometimes you don't need all the columns in your data to work with. You just need whatever you are going to work with and build your analysis on that, so you don't have to load everything. And be mindful of deleting from the original source. Just keep the original source as they come in, and now you can use Power Query or other tools that you prefer to transform your data. Okay, so I think that is fine. So now you see that over here you have the date, the delivery date, and the order date. If you decide to use let's say pivot table on this, you shouldn't have problems with our dates. So I've selected everything up to 106,000 row. I'll probably say okay, insert a pivot table here, then I'll insert it on a new sheet. Okay, so here if I want to bring in, let's say the various okay, maybe the various promo types. These are the various promo types. Okay, and I want to check the revenues made, and probably use some slices as we did slices and timelines yesterday. Here I want to use timeline. You see that it's able to pick the order date and the delivery date, so I'll pick the order dates as my timeline here. And with this we have the year 2021. What if I want to go for years? Previously it was just the months. Okay, here up to just 2021, all periods, but I don't know why it's put 2021. Meanwhile it's all periods. Or you can just slice to the end. Okay, so here, all right, so that is fine. But then you can switch to, let's say, years, and you have just the years, and you can filter for this particular year, for 2018, 2019, 2020, and you are good to go. Alright, so I can click here, and probably let's say okay, let me add the stock that we have. The stock, I want to do a count because the stock and the quantity sold should actually be the same. So here I want to do a count instead of sum, because you are just counting how many stocks you had or how many stocks you had with this particular promo type. You see, using this promo type doesn't really make sense because if you check the data, that's the only thing we can probably use for now. You've now linked the products, brands, and all those things, so maybe from the next lessons you can look at that. So I think that is the best category we can have in this particular data at the moment. And for the product ID, store ID, and all those things, we can use those ones to create relationships between this particular data you've processed and maybe other sheets. If you check the main source, of the data, you have this store cities sheets. You also have the product hierarchy here. So if you check the store cities, with the store cities, you should be able to, let's say, probably create some relationships with the store ID. Okay, if you check, we have the store ID here. So with this store ID, you can create a relationship between this particular data and the store ID you have in this sales 2017 to 2020 data you've processed so far. And if you check product hierarchy, you also have the product IDs there. There's the product hierarchy. This product hierarchy data, you have the product IDs here, so you can also create a relationship. Then now we can probably use a merge query, okay, a merge query to bring in this product brands and type into other sheets as well. So that will also be possible with merge queries. So let me close that for now. I think I don't want to do more. If I do more, probably the understanding will be a problem. So just want us to end it here on Power Query. Then we continue next time with doing some merging and creating relationships in there. But here, let me click on the data, go to launch Power Query. Okay, so okay, all right, so here this Power Query interface is just for transformation. Okay, so I think we are done. But then in Excel too, we can create relationships from let's say this particular sheet to another sheet, or let's say another data, using, they have something called Power Pivots as well, so you can leverage on that to create those relationships. But then I think when it comes to those things, we'll be doing it more in Power BI. Okay, so we'll be doing it more in Power BI. So I don't want us to do that in Excel. Right, so I think we can end it here and look at the X lookup for Eugenia and the V lookup as well. So I will stop the recording here and